All right, so we are taking a look at assignment 3, how to do this assignment, what you should be specifically working on, all that stuff. The introduction reads, in this assignment, you will be creating a character. Your character's traits and persona will be built on your independent research and experience. So while you are doing research on a specific character, you'll soon discover that your research and experience needs to be centered on a specific prompt in the template. Let's take a look at that now. So under the instructions, it says, to get started, refer to the template for this assignment here. Clicking on that link will take you out to this template, and this is going to outline for you all of the things that you need, not only the blanks you need to fill in, but the specific things you need to be researching. So our prompt says you are to research the following information and then use what you find in your research to design a character based on what you find. So you should be researching these specific things. If you submit this assignment and the character that you develop is trying to figure out what to do in high school, that is going to be very close to a 0 for that assignment, because high school did not exist in Budapest in 1240 to 1260 AD. For people who were the Magyar people. So you do need to restrict your research to these specific inputs. Very often when you're working for a video game company and they're asking you to develop characters, they need to be constrained by the world that the game is designed to inhabit. Sometimes those are historically based, like if you're working on something like Assassin's Creed, who do incredibly detailed research on the eras in history on which they're based. Or even if you're working on a fantasy game or a sci-fi game set in the distant future, there is a world that's being created. And in order to create a sense of authenticity for the player within that world, you need to do research on what kinds of conditions or sociological aspects of that character's world would change who they are, affect the way that they make choices, all that stuff. For this assignment, these specific things are the bits that you should plan to research. So let's break down what's going on in the rest of the template. So one of the first things you need to create is a character name. So this name needs to be based on this research. So what we might do is open up a new tab and just do a little bit of digging. So 1200s Hungarian names. And medieval Hungarian submitted names. So these are, being medieval, chances are these would fall into the category that we're trying to research and be in the same time span. So we can see that this name was first used in Hungary in the 13th century, so that's going to be 1200. So Balassa would be a perfectly acceptable name. If you use a name like Tyler, you need to prove or demonstrate that Tyler was a name used in Budapest in this time frame by this ethnic group. So that's an example of the kind of thing that you're trying to research as you're coming up with these points. The other thing you'll want to do is you'll notice at the very bottom of the template, you've got a references works cited. Whatever source you use, you'll want to copy the link to that source and paste that into your template so that we can see, as we're grading this, where your source material is coming from. I'll just return the template back to its original form for demonstration purposes. Then we get to this thing called backstory. You'll want to replace the text here with a paragraph of at least 10 sentences that develops this character's history, relationships, place in the world of the game, and story arc, etc. So where does this player come from? You know, once you've figured out the player's name and you've got a sense of like what's going on, use the research that you've done on this specific point to inform the backstory. So what neighborhood of Budapest, this medieval city, was this character from? What were their major relationships? Were they an apprentice? Were they a soldier? And how would those occupations influence the people that they would have met, the people with whom they would have formed relationships, all that stuff? At least 10 sentences on that. You can, of course, go overboard. That's perfectly welcome. Generally speaking, with these kinds of assignments, the more information you flood into the template, the better your grade will tend to be. Motivation, Replace this text with a paragraph of at least 5 sentences that explains what this character is trying to accomplish in the game and why. So this is beyond just shoot all of the enemies or find all of the treasure. Like, why is this character motivated to do anything at all in the game? What are they? Are they trying to learn about themselves? Are they trying to free the princess from the dragon? You know, what is it that would realistically fit into this particular time period, geography, and people group that would make sense for your character, that would drive them, that would motivate them to accomplish things in the game? This is not just complete levels or finish tasks. This is more deep than that. Like, what is causing them to make the choices that they're making. Physical character traits. Replace this with a list of physical traits that help illustrate your character's nature and backstory based on your research and experience. So once you've done the backstory and the motivation, you should have some stuff that will make this part easy. So if your character is a soldier, then what were Hungarian soldiers wearing in the 1200s? And once you've got that stuff logged in here, so Austro-Hungarian army, maybe what did soldiers in the Hungarian army actually look like? Maybe you could go to the image search and see what's going on here. Of course, you want to verify that what you're seeing here is actually from that time period. Color photography, of course, is not going to be from that time period. Maybe we'll try the people group. Hungarian Black Army look like. If we go, let's check this out. Do we have anything about the date? So Emperor Maximilian II. Let's double check his dates. 1527 to 1576. So he's too late. So this kind of suit of armor would not be appropriate. But maybe if we try Wikipedia, we can find maybe 1240s. And, you know, we're digging around, we're trying to constrain everything that we're finding. Ooh, so here's some photography. So if not photography, but some illustrations, we might use some of this history research to find illustrations of things that are going on. Let's just see what's going on here. So this would be contemporary to the time period and geography. So we might look at some of the things that people are wearing in here. So it looks like they wear tunics, they're on horses, they've got kind of wearing a combination of trousers and skirts and stuff, and they've got pointy hats. So when you're coming back to writing down the physical character traits, you might insert or paste in some images that you find, and then also describe, you know, he has a blue hat that has a point that looks like it wraps around his face and has a pointy top to it, like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. You know, be as detailed as you can. And I would underscore here that these are physical character traits. If you let's say here that this individual, this character is very brave, that is not a physical character trait, and that is not useful for someone down the pipeline in the development of the game to figure out what they should be designing for the character in the game. So physical character traits only, not character traits like, are they brave, are they kind, what do they look like specifically. And then aesthetic or concept art, this would be the area into which you can paste all of these images that you're finding. And of course, you'll also want to grab every single website that you visit that you end up using to inform your work, copying that URL and then pasting it into the references or works cited section down here as an additional bullet point. So that's the gist of assignment 3. Use the template, fill things in, and the more you pack into the template, the better your grade is going to be. Remember that it needs to be these specific prompts all together, nothing else. And if you reference anything that is not actually real for this time period, then you will see points be deducted from your overall score. As always, email if you have any questions, and we will catch you on the next.